back in the shop for the next part of this build. Thank you guys so much for being here. What I'm working on here now is that brass bolster. If you haven't seen the last video, go check it out here, I believe. But we did the blade, we did some brass inlays in the blade, which look fantastic, in my opinion, of course. Now we have this brass bolster to go on here, and let me show you how we're going to accomplish that. I find the most difficult thing with projects like this, where you're doing complete customs, is order of operations. Trying to get everything right, because, for example, like this needs to be fitted before heat treat, otherwise you'll never be able to carve away at this, but yet you have to do some sanding after heat treat, so then you lose some size, so it's a little bit difficult. Order of operations is very key. So what we have here is a chunk of 1/4 inch brass, and we have a slot right here. Now this is going to slide up and lock into that slot, like I said in the last video. They'll scissor together. Now we have a hole drilled here, the exact same size as our brass rod. That is lined up with the hole right here that's drilled clean through this entire brass piece here. So that's a little bit tricky to nail down to get that perfect. So this is going to slide up in that notch, just like so. This is going to go through here. Let's see if I can get it through here. I haven't tried yet. Oh yeah, just nice and snug. Okay, so you can see how that's right through there. Now this will be cut off just with maybe 1.5 mils of material hanging out over, and the hole in this brass piece is actually chamfered out on the inside. So once this gets peened out, it'll peen out and fill that chamfer. It'll grind off smooth, and we should have a perfect seamless fit. You won't even know there's a pin going through there. You'll wonder how that piece of brass is staying on there. First things first though, we have to lap this face down to a perfect flat mirrored polish, because we're not going to be able to get at that later. Now we definitely don't want to take off any more material than we have to with this step, because we don't want to lose size for that fit into the channel. So be very minimal with our grinding here. So now this is the absolute beauty of brass right here. This was just maybe 3 or 4 minutes work. I did 120, then I went to 220 grit, 400 grit, 1,000 and 2,000. Very little time on each surface on a nice flat like this. And then I gave it a quick buff on the buffing wheel, just like we used in the last video. And now we have this piece done. So now this will slide right up in there like that. Notice it's just a little bit looser now. It just slid in there just a touch easier. But you can see the finish that we're going to have. Now we can't touch this till later, but we can get at that later. That's the nice part. So now we can go ahead. Actually, I'm going to tape up the face of this brass first, and then we can get to putting our pin in there. So there we have it. If I could give another quick tip, anytime you can mitigate the risk of damaging your previous work by throwing on a bit of tape or something like that, take the time to do it. You will really be happy in the long run. So let's have a look here. So this pin, you can see it go through like that, and just to give you an idea, that's how much space we have there. Now brass is a beautifully malleable material, so we just need to peen that out into that space there. So what I'm going to do first is pop this pin in the vise and get that peening started. Now peening is just the displacement of material. That's all we're doing here. So just going to get this gently in the vise here, down pretty close to where I want it. Now I'm not going to pinch it in too tight, because we don't want to destroy our rod there. Now I'm going to get my little teeny ball peen, and we're just going to start working the head of that piece of brass, and it'll quickly start flailing out on you. So you just check there how that mushroomed out. I'm trying to get you a good look. That's just what we want. Now we have the peening started on this side just so that pin can't come through. And now I've cut off and just flat grinded this side. Notice the amount of excess we have there. And I'll start peening that out into this chamfer over here. And then we can really start working it out now at this point. Now I find that a concentrated point to peen from is preferable. You get a little bit more energy, it seems. So I like clamping one of my ball peens in the vise here, so I can use the very peak of that. And then I'll just start working the other side. Now I displaced enough material on this side so that it actually fell in flat. So I'm not going to be able to do a whole lot of grinding on this side. This side here, we have a little more material. We have just a little bit left it over. So you can really see that it really, it's really malleable. You can really push it out. So that's beautiful. Everything is bar tight. Now you can see conceptually how it's impossible for that pin to move or come out. Right? The buck 110s, the pivots in those are assembled in the exact same way. You don't see a pivot through that brass bolster, but this is how it's done. Now I just flatten off this side here, just ground it down so we can see what it's looking like. You can tell you can just barely see that circle there. On this side I think you can see it even less. And as that gets polished out, that'll be even less noticeable. Now we can shape this side, or this bottom down here. Then we can work on putting some scales together for this thing. Now, as you guys know, my most disliked part of the entire knife building process, and that is glue up. I do not enjoy glue up. Okay guys, my camera battery died right in the middle of that glue up, so I didn't get you. All my batteries are just about dead, so I'm going to make this quick. The client chose mosaic pins, black micarta with red micarta layered in there. Everything has fit perfectly. This glue up could not have gone better. About to take this inside in the warm. Hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video. So we're back in the shop. Welcome back. Thank you guys for keeping tuned in with this project. We have that Tanto here now, and it's all glued up. Stop! Shh! It's all glued up. You notice we have the red micarta. We have the red micarta inside, the black micarta outside. We have some mosaic pins there. We have a bunch excess, so I actually got to rip some of this off with the bandsaw. We did a bunch excess because we have a big choil here, a big groove as this brass bolster extends down. So we've got quite a bit of grinding. You can see that slender blade profile. This is going to be really fun to carve into. Now that we've got that little bit of cutting done, now we get to the messiest part of the project, which is grinding that micarta. That is just such a terrible mess. The weather's not suitable for me to take the grinder outside tonight, so shop's getting dirty. We've had quite a lengthy night in the shop. I'm working on multiple projects here, but I just finished up that Tanto blade. We still have the leather work to do later. I probably won't show that, but I just want to show you how this blade is looking here now in its finished state. It doesn't have an edge, and here it is. We have that finished Tanto knife. Leatherwork is not done yet, of course. We still have to get to that. I probably won't show you that, but here it is. There's no edge on it yet. We have that mirror polish blade. Those brass inserts came out beautiful. And then here is our handle. You see we have a nice thick red inner layer of micarta there. We have that brass bolster. It came out very well. The mosaic pins look fantastic. This, I'd say, is one good looking blade. Now, just because I have it here, I want to show you guys another knife I finished tonight, except for the leather work once again, and that is, I don't know if I'll pronounce it right, a Shean Dub. It's a Scottish ceremonial dress knife, except this one was custom made to also be a functional EDC, but to also be worn in that ceremonial setting. So even though it's super elegant, very pretty, it's built tough as nails. We have a nice thick rat tang going all the way through this. We have 01 steel mirror polished. We have a nice heavy saber grind, getting close to a Scandi grind. We'll have a micro bevel on there, so it'll be very, very tough. We have a little bit of a swedge there. 2 solid brass 1/4-inch bolsters, and this thing is peened out on the end. This wood here, if you're wondering what that beautiful, beautiful stuff is, that is box elder burl stabilized so it can sand and polish up like that, and it looks so good. We'll get some leather work done for this thing in the future, but I'd say that's another successful knife tonight. Let's just take a look at that front seam there. Just have a look at how tight that fit is. Now one last look at that katana before we close out for the night. I'm heading in. It's about 10:30 p.m. here now on a Friday night. I'm going in to see my wife. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate the support. Make sure you smash that like button. I would really appreciate it. Comment down below. Tell me which one of those knives you think you would rather have. This one or the Shean Dub? I might be butchering that name completely, but that's how it's spelt. Which one would you rather have? Comment below. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video.